Okay guys, hey, my voice is kind of going and I'm hoping by tomorrow it'll be back, but I wanted to do this video because it is going to be something that I'm aiming to do all the way through icons. I'm going to take the best game of each day and break it down, or the best series of each day and try and break it down. So we're gonna kind of go through the series. We're gonna highlight some cool moments and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break it down like we would do any of my games. And this is basically to draw your attention to the amazing global championship that we have going on right now. I'm going to link the wildrift esports Twitch channel in the description below, and I believe it's also being streamed on YouTube as well, which I'll link in the description below as well. It's happening pretty much every day for the next couple of weeks. Loads and loads of really awesome matches. You get to see in this particular video, Europe versus Korea. You're going to get see Southeast Asia versus North America, China versus Brazil. Every region coming together to clash at the very top level of wildrift. So it's really good to learn stuff, really good for great action and awesome entertainment. So I'll link all that in the description below. And also thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There is a reference link in the description below. So you can hear my voice is kind of going, and you probably know what probably gives you an indication as to why I haven't published some videos in a while. Basically, my voice is kind of was on the way out for quite some time. I'm hoping it's starting to come back now. Right, so let's see how it goes.
It can be played in the mid lane. Snitch has played it in mid lane. We have seen a little bit.
So we can hear, obviously, there's some casting.
Well, but they've come to play. They were like, okay, we know what we're picking. Corki, Kha'Zix, let's go for it.
And you don't want to mess with JY when he is on the Kha'Zix. I mean, this assassin has already.
I'm thinking whether I just drop the. I'm trying to think whether I drop the sound a little bit. Let's drop this out. Let's drop the sound a little bit. It's in the background, and then we can talk over it and hopefully be loud enough. Cool. I mean, if you look at the draft so far. Singed mid gets banned. It has been something that competitive players have been playing a lot. I see it gets played in solo queue, but I don't think it's as strong in the solo queue setting. Lucian has been banned here. I think mostly because the meta that we've seen kind of developing in icons is that like Korean and Chinese teams like straight up first pick Lucian. They genuinely believe like Lucian is to be like super strong. We have a Karma ban because Karma's really OP still. Yumi is still really OP as a support option. You guys can't actually see the bans. I've only just realized, so I'm going to fix that now. There we go. Good job, Excoundrel. Yep, so we have... That's right. We have Yumi ban, Senna ban. Senna ban because I think Senna in competitive is like super strong because you can play like proper fasting Senna lanes. Ricks have gone for what I call a very European comp. Like... early prio Lee Sin, high priority Rakan, like Rakan being one of the strongest kind of all-round supports in the game right now. I think a lot of competitive supports consider him to be like S+ tier in competitive. What strikes me as odd is the very early Jace pickup. It's not something that we've been seeing being like super high priority in solo queue. So like to see Jace as a like super high priority pickup here for Ricks is interesting. It gives them flexibility between Baron lane and mid, but I think like mid lane Jace is just generally better. So you are kind of like, I'm guessing expecting it to be mid lane Jace, but they've banned Shen and they've banned Renekton, which could maybe at least give you options to run Jace in the Baron lane. Ziggs and Varus getting banned here. I do just want to sort of say that Ziggs and Varus fulfill a very similar role on a team, which is just very long range, consistent damage output, which with the comp that Ricks are running, the only person that can, or the only two people that can easily threaten them are Rakan and Lee Sin. Lee Sin's a little harder to do. Rakan a little bit more ready to do that, but you know, those are two things that could have very easily been picked up, especially because you saw Corki, Gragas, and Kha'Zix for T1, and none of those champions can easily threaten, you know, what these long range poke carries. Very interesting that we're going to see Lux get picked up. Lux has been something that a lot of competitive teams have been starting to run a little bit. I think that because they've realized like her one-shot burst damage is really strong. I think people also like her into Ahri as well if you can land the binding. We're also seeing Echo. Oh, wait a second. This is Lux bot lane, so Echo mid. I was actually thinking. So Lux bot. I mean, Lux obviously scales really well with AP. This is just another form of those AP bot laners. I really hate AP bot lane meta in wildrift, by the way. Echo mid, I feel, is a little dangerous. I'm not entirely in love with Echo mid. I think Echo jungle is like significantly better. just because it kind of negates the early part of his game where he's a little weaker. But Echo has got some incredible scaling right now, and with gold, becomes a real monster in the late game. So with like, I'll talk about the comps when we actually get into game, but just from draft, like, I think it's difficult to say just from draft. I don't think either draft here is like obnoxiously better than the other one. I would say that the ability to make a catch is significantly easier on T1's side. I think there's a reason that, by the way, if you're wondering why there's only 4 players on stage for Rick, it's because Snitch unfortunately tested positive for COVID, which obviously is probably one of the reasons that, you know, Ricks do come into this as a slight disadvantage. They have one player playing remotely, which kind of sucks. It really does, you know, with the rest of the players playing on site, one player playing remotely. But as far as I'm aware, there isn't a tournament client, you know, so there isn't like a LAN client for wildrift, so everyone's playing on some kind of ping. So I don't think it's like a massive competitive thing. Right, so now we're in game. Let's take a look at these comps, right? Jace, Lee Sin, Echo, and then we have a Lux Rakan bot lane. This to me strikes as a very clear 1-3-1 kind of scaling into the later stages. They kind of want Snitch and Random to do their thing in the side lane, and then you have a ridiculously low cooldown ultimate Lux, who is just going to clear waves forever and is going to be practically untouchable in the mid lane. I guess with the fact that we've lost Varus and we've lost Ziggs, Lux fulfills that same role. And so if we think back to the bans, we think they banned Ziggs and they banned Varus. They clearly understood what Ricks were trying to do with their comp. And they banned the 2 best champions for that particular role. And then going on to the Lux is kind of, she's not as good as Varus and Ziggs at doing that same role, because she has a lot weaker laning phase, as you'll see here, versus the Corki and the Gragas. She's going to get bullied out a little bit more. But I think in general, that is what Doom is wanting to do in this game, right? Doom is wanting to clear some waves mid, and then you have 2 incredibly strong solo laners that can get supported by a heavy roaming jungle in the form of the Lee Sin, and you're just hoping that Random and Snitch are going to be kind of like your win conditions. You know, it's not the only win condition that Ricks can activate. They have got, you know, a really strong catch with a Lux binding and a Rakan, and then you have a lot of good burst damage, so you can make individual catches. Looking like they've shoved a wave in versus Jaejong, and he will go down first blood. SE7. Classic play, by the way. Absolutely classic. I can't really rewind on the Twitch VOD very easily, but that right there was totally classic. You stack the wave, especially in a ranged versus melee matchup like this. So they stack the wave as much as they can, and then you path red buff straight to top side, level 3 dive the enemy, you deny them a load of farm at the tower, and they're going to get a little bit behind in the laning phase, and a Riven that gets put behind in the laning phase is rough. And not only that, the wave bounced back towards Random. Random is loving life at the start of this game right now. Really insane start for him, which he should be super happy about, so well executed. Let's talk about T1's draft then. We have Riven, we have Kha'Zix, Ahri, Gragas, and Corki. Like, again, the Kha'Zix and the Ahri are going to do a similar kind of thing. Like, they are looking to make an individual pickoff. There is not a strong 1-3-1 coming out from T1 right now, because really Riven's your only strong side laner. So what T1 are probably looking to do more so is play around Gragas, isolating people with the ultimate, you know, finding a good option for JY to find targets in a smaller skirmish or team fight, and then you have that scaling potential of the Corki down the line. Very, very, very strong fights around objectives, and I think they'll be looking to force the issue at objectives. T1 have to be the ones to set the objective time of this game. They lose down the line in the 1-3-1. So if Ricks wanted to take this to side lanes down the line, T1 lose there, because Ahri won't be able to contend with the late game Echo, neither will she be able to contend with Jace, and Riven probably can hold her own, but one of those lanes is always going to lose, right? So one of those lanes is always going to lose. So for T1, it is imperative that they pull their resources around this Infernal Dragon. They try and take as many objectives as they can. They don't let Ricks get to the late game, and they just utilize their superior team fighting capabilities, because Ricks actually have pretty piss poor team fighting. relatively strong skirmishing, but they don't have, they got a lot of kind of like, apart from getting a really good Lux laser, a lot of their damage is relatively single target focused. So, you know, you've got to get through a pseudo tanky front line of the Riven and the Gragas, and they have just got like T1 have got much better like broad damage abilities in these team fights. I don't like the fact that Ty's on the top side of the map with 30 seconds to go, but that may indicate that they're putting priority on Rift Herald, especially with Gragas roaming up here. I love that they're investing resources into defending this first tower. This is something that happens far too often with the new changes to the objective timer spawns. You'll find that teams forget that post 4 minutes, those towers become paper, and they often just let one of the corresponding laners get a tower for free. So T1 invested a lot of resources here into ensuring that that top lane tower did not go down for free. And now with the pathing of JY, it looks like he's heading down to prioritize the dragon. Love this. This is now setting the timer, right, for T1. We're going to get a trade, and I think this is the best thing that Rix can do if they're not set up to contest this, and especially because they don't actually want to fight around objectives right now. But this now sets a timer of an Elder Dragon win condition, which I think, you know, T1 may be looking to utilize in this game. And also, you know, that now clearly sets a precedent around future Dragon fights, where T1 can always look for, you know, an area to try and exploit their weakness. You can see already Rix have transitioned into the 1-3-1. So we have Rix snitched down at the bot lane here. He's just clearing waves. We have Random staying on the top side of the map. He's gone for Hullbreaker, so he's going to be a really strong side lane presence. Hullbreaker first item, so you can clearly see that he's not that interested in joining team fights right now. The Rix playbook just kind of being rolled out here. Item spikes across the board as well for Rix. They've got the Luden's Echo. You can just see Doom is going to be able to constantly clear waves here, and should he ever need to, if they're feeling threatened, they can just drop his ultimate. You've got to remember that they also have the Rift Herald, so there's not going to be a turret breaking situation coming out for T1. One of the things that T1 will want to do as soon as physically possible is they'll want to try and break that mid lane tower, because that'll allow them to open up the jungle and be a bit more aggressive. But it looks like they may have caught... Now, T1 are going to respond to this. So Rift Herald won't be able to break the turret when it's above 2,000 HP. So once it's below 2,000 HP, you can actually break that mid lane tower with the Rift Herald. Looks like Jong, or Jaejong, I don't know how to say his name properly. I'm going to say Jaejong, tried to initiate a fight there with the Riven Ultimate, but didn't burn any other summoners, so didn't really find something to happen. Trying to fight this... oh, they're going for it. That's a kick from SE7, but they're so isolated. That is what we call Lee Syndrome, everybody. They trade 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Penguin goes down. But SE7 looked for a kick onto JY there. It wasn't necessary, in my opinion. They had the control over the Rift Scuttler, and I feel like he was trying to go for something flashy, but he had no escape plan there. Like, he was right in the middle of the T1 team. He had absolutely no escape plan in that situation. 1-for-1, but the resulting fight has allowed Rix to pick up the first tower of the game, which is going to give them an advantage to work with. This now becomes the tricky part. We'll take a look back at here, right? So SE7 jumps in, really lovely little kick. TY does actually manage to dodge out from the double whammy laser, but you saw that there was nowhere for him to go after that kick. So really, just it was an initiated fight, maybe created space for that top lane tower, you could say. But yeah, it didn't really do much, didn't really serve much. And now comes the tricky part of the game. You've taken that first tower. It's now difficult for Random to overextend. You still have Snitch wanting to collect solo experience on the bot side of the map. And again, you can see, like, this is just an error, an unforced error from Rix. This is a tough part of the 1-3-1 style win condition. Random wanted to force down mid lane tower because they saw two members on the top side of the map. They thought with a man advantage they would be able to do so. But the wave clear of an Ahri and a Corki is just too good. Too dangerous to do that, especially when you expose yourself to an Ahri charm. That was a very unforced error from Rix that has given away a lot of momentum and tempo on the map. Random could have very easily just walked top, clear waves, and just continue to apply pressure through wave control on the top side of the map. The better play for Random there would have been to push waves out, prevent his top lane tier 1 from going down, and just constantly threaten the idea of a tier 2 push. Never going to happen because you still have that mid lane tier 1 up, so it's so difficult to respond if Random ever does get caught, and it's quite difficult to actually put vision control in the red side jungle. But Random did not need to go gung-ho force mid, especially versus a Corki and an Ahri. That was a mistake that didn't need to happen, that ultimately has cost Rix a lot of tempo in this game. So we have the next Rift Herald spawning shortly. The next dragon should be kind of under the way in the next 60 seconds as well. This staggered objective timer is very interesting though. T1 clearly not that interested in Rift Heralds, whereas European teams really do like Rift Heralds. You can see that JY pooling his resources on the bottom side of the map here. Looks like they may have caught out Random again. Uncharacteristic from him getting caught out. Snitch does manage to take down. That's a really nice stasis, and JY will not be able to follow him out here. But it looks like on the top side of the monk, Jong has stopped that Rift Herald for the time being. It does go the way of SE7, so he did smite it. But they lose bot lane tier 1 for this. So actually, you know, turret advantage in favor of T1 right now. They should be able to relatively easily reset here and go for a dragon fight if they want to. Again, T1's scare machine capability is much better, though JY gets caught out by Snitch here. Snitch going for the fight, but isolated so easily that can turn around. Clue tries to, but a really, really nice stasis from JY. And they see the rest of T1 has already responded here. And I don't think that Rix can really fight this. We've just used Doom's ultimate. The best you can hope for is SE7 looking for a smite steal at this situation. Jong doesn't have his ultimate, but they're going to get it. You can see T1 not really set up to fight in this situation. Sorry, Rix not really set up to fight here. They don't have a great team fight. Stoneplate used just in case. I think he was worried about the ultimate coming out. No risks being taken. Looks like they're trying to use their man advantage on this side of the map that Jong's going for. Oh, that's beautiful. Really nice stasis. I mean, they get caught. That's what you want to see from Doom, but the rest of the team are here. You can see that JY jumps over the wall. That was a really nice little catch from Doom there, though. Turned to what was looking to be a really crap situation back in favor of Rix. But I think T1 achieved what they wanted to, which was preventing that mid lane tier 1 from dropping for the time being. We'll see if they can continue to do so, as BDG does not have any mana. But they should be able to get away with it. I mean, look, T1 invested resources in keeping their mid lane tier 1 alive. They realize how important that tier 1 is, right? They realize how important that tier 1 is in terms of... I'm just going to turn the volume up on this a little bit. Yeah, they realize how important that mid lane tier 1 is, because it's protecting their side lanes. That mid lane tier 1 is making it so that you can't move into blue or red side jungle as easily, so therefore you can't support your side laners when they're trying to push further than that tier 1 turret mark. So it's a really important turret to maintain when you're going up against these split push or solo lane orientated compositions, because that is allowing you so much map control on your own side of the jungle, which is preventing people like Random and Snitch pushing aggressively onto your side of the map, which is limiting that win condition that Rix wanted to run with on this comp. One shining light is that Random has got an absolutely shit ton of gold. He's got loads of gold, and Snitch is also 201. So your solo laners are actually in a strong spot right now. Random's nearly at 3 items, going for Divine Sunderer Jace, so really looking to brawl Riven. That's what I find really interesting about this build. Like, he's looking to take Riven on here, because usually Riven should be able to win the 1v1s down the line, right? She's got a really strong scaling ultimate. She should be able to win those. But the way that Random is built in this situation, he's looking to be a bit more brawl heavy with the Divine Sunderer. T1 know that this tower will drop very easily to Snitch, as we just saw there. They won't invest many resources in defending it. But again, you know, we have a short amount of time until that third dragon pops up. T1 have got the dragon counter ticking right now, which does, you know, put pressure on Rix to have to respond. They are going to bite the bullet here. This is a relatively low value Rift Herald, just for the sense that it does obviously not... Oh, it's a nice catch, but the... that's a really nice stasis from BDG, but won't quite make anything work. They won't be able to push further than the Rift Herald here, and they've got oodles of wave clear, so I don't think Rix are going to get any further than that. It would be a very risky to Baron to attempt, so they're not going to do it. Just try and steal away as much jungle as possible. It was a relatively low value Rift Herald, though. You know, it feels bad to use Rift Herald to get like the last hit on a turret. But in this situation, it's so important that Rix drop that mid lane tier 1, because that should now start to unlock Random and Snitch a little more. They do need to get some vision control done in the blue and red side jungle, which they have done. You can see that blue side jungle is relatively well lit up. But because you're seeing people appear on that T1 and putting a lot of resources on that side of the map, you can see that Snitch not willing to push too much further up here. And you can see that JY was hoping for a sneaky little counter invade. That is interesting. All I'm going to say about that move from JY with 0 vision in the red side jungle, interesting, with a heavy emphasis on the int. Not sure I would have made that play, and I'm not a challenger. We have an ad. We're going to pause until the ad's done. We're out of ads. Might have to cut the Heineken out of this. I don't know what YouTube's like about that kind of thing. Yes, so interesting decision from JY. And that's now given, you can see that Rick's using this time to clear out vision control. The tanky Jace, a little harder to fully catch out for Core there in the mid lane. Speaking of Core, Ahri being one of his specialist picks, clearly comfortable in this game, picking up the Ahri. Someone that was highlighted as well in the Who's Got Next series from that we did for wildrift esports. Core was kind of the guy that we were looking at. 1-1-2. BDG as well, 3-1. He's having a great game, and that's something that Rix will have to keep in the back of their minds right now. I mean, that's an Essence Reaver, i.e. Solari Chargeblade Corki. Not a build that you see too much in Europe, by the way. But that's Corki that's going to start really hurting now. And again, Rix, they know it. They have to make some kind of move around these dragons at some point, because they're ultimately going to lose on dragons if they don't. But it plays against what their comp's designed to do. I mean, I think they're hoping to use their strong solo names. Oh, random. That, my God. That damage from Doom? What was that? He basically killed the entire team. Trying to keep it going. That's a really nice stasis from Doom right now. Jae-Jong actually flashes out here. They're trying to keep it alive. Another stasis coming out. You've got to support your boy. You've got to support your boy, but you can't. And Snitch wants to keep this fight going. That was a Doom absolute monster with that. Oh, Doom has just turned this game back. Kept it fighting for Rix right now. Because I was a little worried for the long game plan here for Rix, but that was beautiful. The combination actually between Clue and Doom, the charm into the setup on the multi-man laser, beautiful. That's the only way you, by the way, just to let you know, that's basically the only way you can win a team fight for Rix. Because frankly, if you don't get one of those kind of god tier lasers, you're not doing enough damage across the entire team. The only other way is that you get to a point where Echo is so unbelievably fed that he can basically one-shot someone at the start. And actually, to be honest with you, once Lichbane gets picked up, I'm surprised that Lichbane's not being picked up this early. Once Lichbane gets picked up, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Random again, a little bit overextended here. Can fight Jae-Jong 1v1, by the way. You can kind of see that there. Penguin gets caught out, trading 1-for-1. It'll be SE7 that gets it. This is Random had managed to keep himself alive here. Rix could have been looking at a Baron angle, but again, that loss of one single manpower, a bit of a struggle. JY making another risky invade. I love that Clue is just taking the initiative. Just like any time that someone steps out of position, Clue is on them. 0-0-9. Like 80% kill participation basically this game. The guy has been on fire. Uncharacteristically, it's Random that's kind of running it. He's not usually the guy that's having the bad performance, but it's the bot lane and Snitch who are really performing for Rix right here. And actually, T1 have looked subpar. You know, I think T1 have played to the correct win conditions, right? They really needed to ramp those dragons up. They have a better brawling and skirmish composition. They eventually lose out in the side lanes, so they kind of have to make these skirmishes happen. But that single dragon fight, that third dragon fight, was so important for Rix, because that has now made Elder a little less scary. Not that much less scary, still going to be annoying, but Also makes your Elder win condition stronger in your own right? 2 dragons with Elder is better than 1 dragon with Elder, so, or Elder being your only dragon. No one dare touch Baron, though. Baron is definitely a bit of a coin flip throw area. Lichbane has now been completed for Snitch. This man is going to one-shot Core and is going to one-shot BDG. You got to keep your eye, and Doom's also now picked up the Banshee's Veil, but you got to keep your eyes on Snitch. This guy, and there's a reason you can see him in the Baron lane. This guy is going to, obliterate anyone that tries to duel him in a side lane right now. He's so unbelievably strong. There is no way that you fight Snitch. This feels like it should be a Rick's game from here on out if they play it correctly. T1, though, they are abusing Random right now, and he's not going to get the response that he needs in time. That's a nice ultimate, but it doesn't really get the work done. Random, I don't know. I mean, he couldn't have known that they were waiting for him. They must have just made that prediction. Really good kick from SE7, though. Can he get the supporting time he needs? Flash away. That is Clue going for it, but he's completely isolated. They're trying to keep Clue by himself for the time being. We'll get the support of BDG. But Random, I don't know. I mean that's a tough one, right? He can't have known that they knew he was in that brush. That usually feels like a pretty safe place to back when you've got your tower supporting you. But again, it's now another area where they've lost pressure, and with a comp like a 1-3-1, even though Random's got a crap ton of gold, with a comp like a 1-3-1, you need both your solo laners to be threatening enough, and you can see now SE7 does have his ultimate if he needs to get out there. Clue almost getting caught out, forced to burn his ultimate as well. J-Jong still coming in, still has the kick available for SE7 if he needs it. That GA is going to get procced. He should have kicked way earlier. He was so greedy with his kick, man. So greedy with his kick, man. He only just used it, but he's dead. Rick's... It boggles my mind. This was a 1 Rick's game. With where Snitch is in his build, there is absolutely no way that Rick should be losing this game. But you just decide, for some reason, to invade red side Krugs on the enemy side at like 21 minutes into the game. Nice snipe on the River Scuttler, by the way, from Doom. That's actually pretty big because it gives them some information. But at 21 minutes into the game, you think, let's steal enemy Krugs. That's going to be the game-breaking difference right here. T1 doing the correct thing. 10 seconds till the enemy jungler's down. Teleport is bought for SE7. Snitch has to be the hero here, but he's already taken a chunk of damage that he doesn't need to. That Elder Dragon is dropping by the second. A wasted ultimate. We're going to see SE7 coming in, but it'll be too little too late. He won't even get the teleport through. And that is the Krugs that lost the game right here for Ricks. This was, guarantee you, this was a 1 game. Although I say that they're still going in the fight right now. TY there. Snitch is still going. Oh, if Snitch stayed alive, this game was over. Or rather, wouldn't be like won by T1. They'll push down mid. They'll push down bottom win here. They've got so much time. Riven and Kha'Zix, both AD champions. They got a wave pushing in. They'll push down bottom win. Clear this wave in anticipation, so you don't stop your wave from. Your wave won't stop to attack. You'll see Riven will just, and she might even pop her ultimate when it comes back off cooldown to take it down more quickly. Yeah, you see, pops her ultimate, get the extra AD, and that'll be game. That's so sad, man. That's so sad. That was a 1 game for Ricks. And look, Random had a few upsies, but he didn't lose the game. What lost the game was a 21-minute random blind invade into the enemy Krugs. For no apparent reason. And I can tell you this straight up. There is almost no reason, like post 15 or 16 minutes into the game, to be in the enemy jungle with lack of vision at that stage without support from your team. Because there are too many game-ending objectives that are on the table at that point. Zero reason to make that move. Other than I've got nothing else to do. That to me was the only thing that could have been the case. I've got nothing else to do. I might as well do something. let's invade and take some camps. I mean, I'm being overly harsh here. I think Rick's played a generally awesome game versus a region like Korea, who are considered one of the best regions in the world for Wild Rift. That, to me, gives me a lot of hope for Rix at this tournament, and also a lot of hope for Queso at this tournament, because I think they performed quite admirably there. But that was Rix's game to lose, in my opinion. Composition-wise, the way they execute-wise, that was 100% Rix's game to lose, just in my personal opinion. And I think they lost it themselves rather than T1 making the winning play. I think Rix made the unforced error that allowed T1 to swoop in and take the game. T1 did the right thing by setting up Dragon objectives super early and then making it the Elder win condition they just ran to when they had the chance. But Rix basically should have had that game in the bag once Lichbane was completed on Snitch, because he basically kills anyone in the side lane. No one stops him from taking towers either. But they just made a very, very unforced error. Let's get to the second game. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're into the second game draft here. T1 on blue side. They are running Senna, Nasus, bot lane. We've got Camille. Apologies, my wife came in and she was upset about a film about kids, so I had to like do the dad thing. Right. Let's talk about this. Jace, and this time around Rakan bans. They're trying to kind of hamper the draft that the Ricks were trying to execute last time around, but they're going to ban Singed. We'll see Kha'Zix, Lucian, and Karma banned by Rix. So we have... Well, we're going to see an early prio on the Varus this time around, so we won't get banned on second rotation with a Gragas, which could very clear, honestly be going to Clue or Random here, so we have a bit of flexibility, because I know that SE7 also plays a really good Riven jungle, so that has flexibility too. The fact that Thresh is getting banned, to me, feels like T1 are expecting this to be a random Gragas. I guess there is that possibility that Snitch could be playing it mid, but he doesn't play a huge amount of it. Snitch also plays Riven mid too. So, I mean, that's a kind of very high flex pick here for Rix. Ari, really going at core. So we're going to try and remove core, one of core's best champions. We'll see what T1's final ban is here. Sorry, my voice is really going now, so I'm drinking. Yuumi. Okay, so they really didn't... they're not expecting this to be a Gragas support. Or at least they're eliminating other possibilities. If I were Rix, what would I be picking up here? Problem is it's so open about what they've got. But when you run Varus, you're expecting to have strong solo lanes, right? So maybe pick up a jungler and then save a solo laner for last pick. Shen support. It's got to be Shen support, because Shen's solo lane is... Oh, bloody adverts, guys. Adverts over. Great. I don't know if I can bother to cut these out. It's like nearly midnight here, so maybe people just have to look at the first 2 seconds of an advert when they're watching this video. Shen's solo lane is, I don't know, I don't rate it personally. I think it really struggles in the late game to be able to clear waves effectively. So I'm guessing this is Shen's support. Graves comes through though. That could be Graves solo lane or jungle, but I'm expecting jungle from an Asian team. I think Graves solo lane is very much an EU thing, at least from what I've seen. And then we round out this T1 comp with a strong AP threat, I'd imagine. So there are plenty that are left on the table right now. With this kind of comp, I'd expect, yeah, Ziggs. I was going to say Ziggs or Orianna. You just want something that is going to sit effectively behind your Nasus, Camille, Graves, and just fire tons of damage out. That's what a Ziggs could do. That's what an Orianna could do here. The thing about Ziggs is he's just really safe. So there's not many picks that you can pick into Ziggs that are going to be very effective. You know, and for Rix, because, you know, you've got a Varus, unless you're trying to run a team fight comp here. I'm trying to think what you can round this up. But yeah, is it? Okay. That's... I was going to either say we're expecting a strong solo laner, or we're expecting a team fighter, and you kind of got a bit of both with Diana here. Looks like their names are all over the place though. So is that an SE? That's surely not a Shen mid, is it? Is that a Shen mid? I mean, that would be the most snitch thing possible. A Shen mid would be the most snitch thing physically possible. Feel like you're just better running. Why? Like, the whole Shen is across. I mean, look, I guess you can split Shen off like you did with the Echo last game, but he's got such like way diminished like lane power compared to his lane power is like so significantly diminished compared to like almost every other solo laner in the game that you're not going to be able to like activate the same kind of win condition, right? So the only value I see of Shen here is a layer of CC to facilitate your Riven and your Diana. It's not Shen mid, thank fudge. I just couldn't see why Shen mid would be a thing, and I knew that SE7 had a good Riven jungle, right? We said it in the draft, so I was expecting this to be the case, right? This is way more in line with a classic Rix comp. Look, you can run split push here. Random's never going to be a significant side lane threat on the Shen, but he'll always have that ability to cross map more effectively because of the ultimate. This is like, by the way, just in case you're wondering, this is about the only time in the laning phase that you can win this any matchup as Shen, and it's level 1. If you want to just ensure that you don't lose to Shen, don't try and fight him at level 1, and you're probably going to win that matchup. This is about the only time in the game that Shen beats most people, because he gets an extended attack range slightly, I think. He's basically has an empowered basic attack for 3 times after he uses his first ability, which is like unbeatable for most people. But yeah, I mean, with Rix, they're just, I think they've got a stronger skirmishing teamfight composition this time round. You've got really beautiful CC and an ultimate combination with the Diana Moonfall and the Varus chains. And then you just layer the CC from SE7, from Clue, from Random on top of that. Like, you've got a really strong teamfight and engage comp here. Right out of the playbook from the last game, though, SE7 paths his way through a full red side clear to top side, and they're going to try and zone. That was interesting. Random's probably going to, die. I'm not so sure about that, Jimmy. I mean, you deny a few minions, but the wave isn't going to bounce as easily this time round. Random thought that he was going to hold another shot for SE7 there, but yeah, it felt a little unnecessary. I really like this from JY. He's trying to go for the... Oh, he's flashing in on Snitch right now. Snitch able to get away to the mid lane wave, though. Beautiful stuff. Let's watch this again, right? Okay. Obviously does not want to miss this wave. Doesn't have hook shot, so flashes in tower range. Gets taunted. Gets a nice heal off to keep himself alive. But I think he would have gone down to the ignite anyway. And Random held an extra tower shot that he may not have needed to. And now we're at the stage in the game where Shen loses every matchup physically possible. So he's never going to... He no longer has presence versus Jaejong. I mean, he's going for it, but now his skill cycle's down. He's got nothing, and Jaejong can just out-sustain in this situation. He would just be able to use leg sweep over and over again like this, and Random can't really do anything about it. That's the only play that you've got into Camille, by the way. You go in and you use Spirit's Refuge, and you hope that they use Precision Protocol at the same time, and then you like, oh, I blocked the majority of Camille's first Q damage. Nice engaged by Clue, not quite in range for Doom to use his ultimate. Snitch gets caught out here. Has the Shen ultimate. And it saves him. And it saves him. Jaejong does not have flash available. Is going to get taunted up here. Will have that hook shot over the wall, but it gets taken out. A little bit too much. And yeah, they really didn't want to burst that last 200 shield on Snitch once he got the ultimate from Random. And while Shen might be crap in solo queue, you're kind of seeing why in competitive he is a relatively solid pick. So we talked a little bit about Ricks, right? They've got that either they can put Snitch in a side lane and expect Snitch to do Snitch things as the game progresses. I mean, they're going to clearly 1-3-1 just because they've got strong Varus wave clear mid. Random can hold his own as a Shen. Like, you ain't going to dive a Shen. He's got Divine Sunderer as well, so he's going to be a bit more aggressive than your very tanky Shen build. And obviously then you're just going to put Diana in a side lane. For T1, whilst they have Camille as a side lane threat, they, and Nasus being the other one, which looks like they're kind of transitioning Nasus into a side lane situation. Nasus, like they aren't really, I think, looking to primarily win through the side lane. They've got really strong front to back comp here. So eventually, once you get Nasus, Graves, and Camille to a certain point, all you need to do is then ensure that Core and BDG are protected, and you kind of win those situations. T1 playing the Dragon game this time round, and that is a very aggressive play. Really, really nice ultimate to bring them back into the fight here. T1 just, I think, biting off more than they can chew, and Rick's playing this pretty well for the time being. Great taunt by Random. And I think Clue is just desperately keeping himself alive. Random tanks that hook shot, but Jaejong will be able to get away with it. I think Random, you're going a little bit too ham here, Random, if I'm completely honest with you. I think you need to get out. Yes. Rick, Snitch, that was so unbelievably greedy. And he's getting, oh no, they're all going to die. They're all going to die. Wait, they're not. Random? Okay, Random gets a kill at the very least. And he failed flash. He failed flash over the wall. That was so greedy from Snitch, man. So greedy. Didn't need that 2 minions. And T1, I think, are going to be able to get away with the Dragon, which is, again, kind of playing towards what we expect from T1. Very aggressive from SE7. I think he's going to go into Jaejong here. Really, if I'm honest, the only person you don't want to feed on T1 is Jaejong, but SE7 might be able to get away with this. Yeah, I mean, they're just going for it. Every given opportunity, they are engaging. And Doom picks up the kill. By the way, I really rate Rafa's casting. I've had to play-by-play in WREC. I'm not a play-by-play naturally. I'm a color caster naturally for wildrift, which means the analyst caster. I prefer doing analysis. So I have been doing play-by-play, and I do, I feel like I'm in a good, I've done play-by-play in league, so I expect, I think I'm a good person to kind of like objectively talk about play-by-play. I really rate Rafa. Love his voice. I think he's a strong play-by-play. Yeah. More adverts. And we're back. Hopefully no more ads before the end of this series. We got, by the way, we've like out of nowhere built up a 3k gold lead for Ricks. Looks like SE7 just kind of over-egged top side of the map though. Trying to respond on bot, but it is a Nasus at the end of the day. Clue's picked up a proto belt though, so he was able to, or the belt enchant. Random trying to taunt under tower here. He's gonna have to use Spirit's Refuge to keep himself alive. JY is going to clear that wave as well. This is the problem with Shen though. Look at how crappy is it clearing the wave. Like, just has to pathetically hit them with his stupid short swords. Whereas like Chad Graves just throws an absolute buckshot out. I'm not sure, Snitch. Yeah, I think you're right, Snitch. I don't think you can take that fight. I think you had to make that flash. Graves, who catches you like that and just goes all in, is very difficult to deal with. SE7, he wants the fight back, though. He wants revenge on Jaejong. Hasn't got the... oh, he's going to get out with the hook shot. Well held by Jaejong. SE7's got a decent amount of gold there. I mean, I'm not really sure how this happened, but SE7 has like nearly 2,000 gold more than JY. And I think it's because... well, that is all the gold. That is Rick's advantage. I guess it's because SE7's been farming lanes. I think probably what you're seeing here from Rick's is you're seeing an incredibly gold-efficient team so far. As someone is picking up gold everywhere on the map. As Penguin is going to have to flash away. Or not flash away, just walks away. But it looked like he flashed away somehow. I love these little flash ups when someone levels up. So Rick's kind of playing like the Doom sits in mid and everybody else roams the map like Mad Men style of gameplay. Clue, I'm honestly not really sure what the play was there. You don't have a minion wave. You were never going to take the tower afterwards, like immediately anyway. And Penguin maybe just overstepped a little bit here. Okay, well, Penguin kind of brought it back for Penguin doing work for Rix right there. But look at Random, like he can't. He's going for his best case scenario. You can't hold side lane as a Shen. And what I think is really intelligent about what T1 are doing here is they're essentially saying, we know that you can't hold side lane as a Shen. We're going to actually 2v1 the Shen, and there's nothing he can do about it, even under tower, because he's so pathetically bad at clearing waves. And that is why I think Shen is always going to be terrible in solo queue, unless they somehow bring out like a way of having a better AoE basic attack, a bit like Titanic Hydra in PC. Because like wave clear is so unbelievably important. That's a really nice ultimate, but they're going to combo the Shen. Great. That's the first time I think I've seen Ziggs do anything this entire game. But I think Random has done enough here to help Rix win this skirmish. This is better from Rix this game round. They've got a much better skirmishing team fight, and that means like these earlier objectives, they can be much more effective at contesting. What I like about this comp compared to the last is that actually Rix have the option. Like they can match side lanes. They have a Diana, and Shen can't hold a side lane, but at least you've got Diana. And I guess in the worst case scenario, you can have Shen roam and you can have SE7 hold the side lane. But you can you can really heavily brawl with this team fight. And I think what Europe is generally quite good at is brawling. You look at Team Queso, that's kind of one of their mantras is like being a good brawling and good team fight team. Jong managed to flash away from that. So now, I mean, look, this is the same story again. Like, Rix are in a good spot. I actually don't think T1 have played this particularly well, other than matching Rix where they can and kind of, I guess, playing for late game. But you've got a 0-5, like, NASA spot, which you might think is weird that he's playing AP, but that's kind of the way that NASA spot plays. You play, like, Ludens into, like, tank, essentially. You're going to catch A out, and that's going to, I mean, that's a little bit of an overstep, I guess. Walked too hard into a choke point versus the Ziggs. You can see Core just managed to flash away. SE7's kind of going over. It's going to get the Shen ultimate for the time being. Penguin is there. Wasted Diana ultimate. In the meantime, Jong's over the wall trying to take out Doom, but Doom has a really, really, really good stasis here. But I actually don't think with the health bars that Rix have got, they can really effectively fight JY. I think they actually do have to back out here. I think you almost have to give this dragon. Yeah, I think you have to give this dragon. Oh. It's an AP Nasus. His poke at this stage in the game is not insignificant. You had to give the dragon. Like, you're so much stronger if you just back. Give up the dragon, fight for the next objective if you have to. Oh, it's another situation where Rix just... I understand why they made that play, right? They thought, well, we've got a two-man advantage. We can land the taunt. We can force the fight. Oh, it's so sad because they didn't. They had to just back. T1 were actually not interested. Yeah, let's watch again. Good Ziggs ult. Really just watch how much work that Core is doing here. Huge amount of damage with a single bouncing bomb. Again, lands onto Rix. Good Ludens proc. Great flash. Keeps himself out of SE7's reach. Penguin as well negates the Diana ultimate. It's a big deal. Everyone back in the pit. Now, Dragon is doing a lot of work for T1 right here. Another great little combo from Core. This is where you should back out if you're Rix. You don't win this fight anymore. Penguin is AP Nasus. He pops Stone Plate again. DC, AP Nasus in combo with Core. Too many low HP bars here as well. And then Core over the wall with that ward straight onto Doom. And there you go. In an instant, you have Rix's advantage evaporated because they were too greedy again. I do understand why they felt like they had to fight that dragon, because you'd built up, you want to convert what you've done into something meaningful, but you just can't in that situation. You're too low versus the Ziggs. And doing an objective with low HP bars versus the Ziggs is asking for death. Quick tip for solo queue: if your team is low HP and the enemy has a Ziggs, don't fucking fight the objective. I actually think SE7, I really rate SE7's Riven, by the way. I don't rate many Rivens in EU. Maybe Andres, but I really rate SE7. Clue is hungry for it, though, man. No, Clue, just take the kill, man. It's not the time in the game to be donating kills to your team. Take the kill. That was risky as well. I unironically think for 95% of these games, Rix has been the better team. Only by a margin, right? This is what's really important to note. Rix have been the better team by a very small margin in these games. Enough so that they've built up an okay lead to work with. The 5% of the game, they have actually run it at a really important moment, and T1 have been able to do something with it. So credit to T1, to be honest with you, because whilst I actually don't think they've played better overall, they have played smarter. They haven't taken unnecessary risks. And in general, the difference maker between T1 and Rix in this series is that T1 do enough to ensure they're not losing, so that when the time comes to win, they're in a position to do so. Rix generally are winning most of the game, but when the time comes, apart from dragons, clearly T1 have been able to dominate dragons so far, but they make these like very, very small moment, like bow plays that end up costing them the entire game. It was the Krugs the first game, and this game feels like it was a let's do an objective versus Ziggs on low HP. Look at this though. I mean, what does Random do in this matchup now? He's literally just like completely stuck as a Shen. You just have to sit there and take it, because you are never matching a Camille in a side lane at this point in time. Which is why I don't like Shen. I mean, Rix need to back now so they can set up for Elder. I think. They've got some low HP bars. SE7's decided to bait it on the wrong side of the map. They're going to back now. Random is Spirit's Refuge, will give him a bit of time. That's a really nice saving ultimate from Clue. Lots of resources, but and we're back, hopefully for the last time. All right, so I mean, this is the way that T1 have kind of played SE7 super early ultimate here. You're going to try and catch up Penguin for the time being. Clue massively overextends, but they're going really heavily in the team fight for the time being. This is looking good right now for Rix. It's again another big engage from Clue. They have that combo working out with the Varus, but they're taking a lot of head damage for the time being, and Jae-Jong's in the back line. I think this is doomed now for Rix. It looks good for Rix, right? But watch Jae-Jong. He'll just clean everyone up. He's literally going to kill everyone. Literally killing everyone here. I knew it. Literally killing everyone. Told you. It looked good for Rix. And then Jae-Jong just annihilated the entire team. It looked good for Rix because it was a 5v4. I think that's probably what we didn't really mention at the start, right? It looked good Rix because it was a 5v4, and then Jae-Jong turns up and kills everyone. The main problem for Rix here is they were keen. That's the way of putting this. They were keen. And they barreled into a choke point area versus a Ziggs. Right? And people underestimate how much damage AP Nasus actually does, especially in sort of the mid-game area. But Core just laying down like bomb after bomb. And Rix, once you have that, frankly, once you have that initial burst out the way, Like, Ricks don't really have anything left in the tank. Like, they're not playing this long-range Varus game. You know, I mean, ideally, you want to try and match Ziggs with Varus and just slam some arrows down and get as much work done as possible. And then, you know, when you don't have to burn every single flash in the book to actually make the engage happen, then you have to, like, engage. The problem with there is that once you burn the flashes to engage, you have literally 0 follow-up. Snitch, I think, is basically donezo here. You're getting outscaled by the T1 comp so hard as well. Like, Senna, Ziggs, Nasus, Camille, Graves. You're a one vein short of one of the strongest scaling comps in the entire game. You can't match Camille in a side lane. Ricks know that they're losing if the game goes on much longer. They've lost Elder Dragon already. This game is donezo. And it was, frankly, again, not entirely this time round a Rick's unforced error, but I would say around that second dragon, it was a little awkward. You can see that Rick's kind of around that until that second dragon were basically winning in terms of that gold lead. And then it evaporated, and that has very quickly snowballed in favor of T1. At this point, it's basically a foregone conclusion. I mean, you have essentially full tank Nasus. You have nearly a 4-item Senna. You have an almost full build Ziggs. And you have a Camille who is untouchable in a side lane right now. And you don't scale particularly well if you're Ricks in this game. In terms of damage output anyway. Not really. I'm hoping I'm going to do this tomorrow again, but I'm wondering if I'm even going to have a voice. If I don't get to do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day. I'm trying to do it every single day. It's content that I really enjoy making, and hopefully you guys like it as well. I'm going to keep doing it all the way through the tournament, just to try and breathe some life back into my love for content creation. Because I found it hard, guys, with work and being ill, and you guys have known for the last year I found it hard to keep up with the content. Their teamwork that guarantees them the win in this series. Kind of also Ricks being slightly monkey in certain situations. Because I actually think Ricks played, for the most part, better in both games. Especially early mid-game. I would rate Ricks a little higher. When it comes to clutch moment execution, it's not like T1 actually did anything. They just capitalized on mistakes. But what I think T1 are really good at is like taking those moments and just going for it. They play a super safe game, T1. I think that's the one thing I can take away from both these games. T1 draft safe and play safe. And they don't take too many risks. They're not like the Chinese teams from what I've seen. The Chinese teams just fucking go for it. Like, they run at you. And they know they'll just outskill you. That's what the Chinese teams I noticed from Horizon, right? Like, KT at Horizon played a safe game. The Chinese teams at Horizon just knew they would outskill you, so they just did it. And they crushed everyone because they would just straight up mechanically outplay you. I rate Rafa, by the way. I obviously rate Stu, but I really rate Rafa. That guy is a very solid play-by-play. Right. That is me for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll try and pick the best series from each day to go through, and we'll see what happens. I'll do it all the way up to the finals, hopefully. Definitely breaking down all the knockout stage games as well. And EU versus NA, clearly going to happen. Right, I'll see you soon, guys.